Hello, everybody, and welcome to Modena to Maranello, your Ferrari Motorsport podcast. Today is the results of the poll Paul put out a few weeks ago, which is the which race would you have liked to have attended if you could since 1950. So over to you, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Toby. Hi, everybody. So thanks for getting involved with the poll. I got the poll started, and members on the group added to the poll with their favourite races, which was great. Obviously, I couldn't put all 1,000+ races on myself.
Well, why not? Why not, Paul? That's what people really want to know. Why didn't you sit there?
I do
and do all that?
apologise. I should have spent a whole week doing it, shouldn't I? Really, I do apologise.
At least,
yeah,
terrible.
yeah. So yeah, it was interesting. People added different races. Generally, the races came from Spa, Suzuka, Monaco, Monza. There was a UK circuit, which I'll talk about shortly, but that wasn't Silverstone. So as you can expect, they were the races people enjoyed over the years and love to have been there, particular years certain races. So I've got a top three, but before we do the top three, just a sort of notable race. I think one to mention, it wasn't in the top three, but I'd like to mention was Monza 1988, which was put on the poll by Ahmed Zoom. So thank you, Ahmed, for doing that.
Yeah,
it was
thank you.
the race just after Enzo died.
Yes,
about a month after Enzo died, and it was a year that McLaren, Honda, with Senna and Prost just dominated race after race after race. Came to Monza. They were on first and second on the grid, as you could expect. But we were third and fourth with Berger and Alboreto, which was not too bad. And fortunately, through the race, Prost had a few problems with his car, and Senna was about 20 seconds ahead near the end of the race, and had a coming together on the chicane with one of the back markers, which ended his race, which was great for Ferrari. So the two Ferraris sort of drove through, and we were 1-2 in that particular race, which was great.
Unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. What a gift, and what a farewell, to the great
Absolutely.
man.
I mean, any race you want to pick, it was just great to see that for Enzo, a 1-2 Ferrari straight after that. So that was a notable race. I think it was worth mentioning there. And then, therefore, moving on to the top three, there was actually third was joint. So there's two races to mention there. We got Spa 1964.
Wow!
Which got 12% of the votes. And listen to this top three here for the race end. Race winner was Jim Clark. In second was Bruce McLaren, and in third place was Jack Brabham. So
unbelievable.
Dan Gurney, another notable name from sports car racing as well, American guy, was on pole, and he led most of the race, but he ran out of fuel, unfortunately. Graham Hill was actually leading the race as well with 2 laps to go, but unfortunately he had to retire his car. So what names in a race there. Amazing to have seen that. The other race that was joint third, one of my favourites. So these two were brought on the poll from Robert Allen. So thanks, Robert, for that. The other race which I'd love to have been at was Monaco 1984, which was the wet race, which we discovered a newborn talent in terms of Senna in one of the sort of slower cars in the Tolman.
Yes,
and I don't know if you can picture the race. It was very wet. Before the race started, they were a bit concerned because the tunnel was dry, obviously, but there was a lot of oil that was spilt from the day before as well there. So Bernie brought his magic to get a fire truck in to wet the tunnel for the tyres, which was amazing.
Mm.
And as we probably all know, Senna just drove an amazing race in one of the slower cars, and he was going to take Prost
For
within the
sure.
race.
He would have won that race if it wasn't stopped. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Prost did say that Prost was obviously going for the title, so
Mm.
he didn't want to be crashing with Senna because Senna would have just he got nothing to lose, had he?
Yeah,
In that
absolutely.
car. And he did say that he would have just let him through because he just second would have been happy with
Yeah.
for championship points.
Yeah.
Um,
Unbelievable drive. Unbelievable.
Prost got the race stopped. He was waving his hand every time he went past
Hmm.
the pits to say, "Look, this is not great." But
Yeah.
to be honest, the weather was the same earlier on in the race as it was then. There wasn't, I don't think, a big difference. I mean, the way Senna was going round, it was saying that you can drive on this track
Mm.
if you can put those sort of laps in that Senna was doing. Well,
For sure.
you're the top guys in the world here
Yeah. Yeah.
racing
Yeah.
motor cars. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, in that era, yeah, get on with it and finish the race basically.
100%. 100%. Well, it was
But
very political as well, wasn't it? He was very involved on a political level, Prost, at that point,
Yeah,
So,
and also Jackie Ickx was the clerk of the course,
mhm.
and he sort of made a few decisions which I think he's supposed to have spoke to the FIA and other stewards, and he did get
Mm.
reprimanded for it after the race. And they stopped the race and they got the red and checkered flag out. And Prost, and if you remember, Toby, literally stopped in front of the two
Yes,
flags
yes, I do remember that.
and
Yeah,
didn't go over the line. And
right.
obviously, Senna just flew over the line
Roared.
at the
Yeah,
end.
he was right behind him, just roared up, roared past him, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
and the
Yeah.
race was taken back a lap or so,
Mm,
and
mm.
therefore Prost was the winner.
It's in because I mean I do remember that race, and I've watched it a few times since. Of course, I'm sure a lot of us have, but the thing that sticks out for me, the biggest thing is the podium because
Yeah,
Senna was this unknown kid, really,
yeah,
and
yeah,
everyone on the podium, is hugging and kissing each other and having a
yeah,
good time and being all very politically, you know, sort of correct and being around each other
yeah,
and I remember Senna just sort of standing there with his trophy, sort of looking around like I don't know anybody here and nobody knows me and what do I
yeah,
do? And he just sort of like shrugs his shoulders and kind of just walks away, and everyone else is ignoring him and partying and celebrating.
yeah.
That's a pretty interesting moment for me, telling, I think, of the situation there because no one cared. And I'm like,
No,
we just saw, this new kid on the block arrive and put in this outstanding drive and no one seemed to care. And I was
no,
like, unbelievable to me. He's in a Tolman, people, and he just nearly won the race. Like, but that podium part for me is I remember that. It's just incredible body. If you ever get a chance to watch that again, just have a look at that part because
yeah,
it's nuts to me. The body language is ridiculous,
yeah.
Um, but anyway, sorry, carry on, Paul. I'm
So yeah, so that I think Tolman still look at that as their only ever win. Fair enough.
for
Their
sure.
unofficial only ever win. So fair
Yeah.
fair play. So moving on to our second favourite race that we'd like to have attended was I think both of our favourites here,
Right.
and it's only half an hour drive from where I live here as well, which makes it
All
very
right. No bragging. No bragging. Yeah.
very very interesting to have been to, and I do regret never going to this particular race, which was the
I've got the Formula E tracks just down the road, mate. You know what I mean. So no bragging. If anyone's interested, no,
fantastic.
no, no, no one's interested. Yeah, that's all
Very
right.
true. Yeah, so it's the European Grand Prix in 1993, which was held at Donington Park. Um,
Yeah.
and basically, the race originally was going to be this slot. I think it's third on the list for the season.
Mm,
Was going to be an Asian Grand Prix in Japan, but that never materialised. And I know
mm,
Donington went for the British Grand Prix for the year,
yeah.
but weren't successful. Silverstone got it.
Mm.
So they gave Donington this race, which was their only ever Grand Prix race in the
Mm,
history of the circuit, for
yeah,
the official championship. And what a race it was! It was typically
absolutely.
wet for England, and Senna's first lap was just looked at possibly one of the best laps ever seen in Grand Prix racing.
Yes. Yeah, unbelievable. That's the one I voted for. So I wish I could have seen that. I mean, there are a few on the list, but that one, unbelievable. What a drive! What a
Yeah.
drive!
It just seems
Epic,
as if
epic.
he started fourth on the grid, and he by the end of the lap he was obviously in first position, as if someone had put like a dry part of the track piece all the way along,
Right,
and he was on dry
right.
tires, and everyone else had to stay on the wet with wet
Mm,
tires, and it
yeah,
literally was just it was completely different car.
yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
way he was driving around the turns and the
mm,
it was just incredible. It's just going through my head
yeah.
now.
I would not have liked to have been there in the wet. I've got to be honest. Standing there all day getting soaked through, I would not have appreciated
No.
that at the time. Um, but but I would have loved to have seen that drive in person and see him raw.
Yeah,
But I
it
mean, I
was
did
it
see
was
Senna, but
and
not at
again,
Donington.
Donington pretty much is apart from a small area of seating
Mm.
is open. So everyone would have got wet on the day, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
freezing cold. I've spoke to a few
Mm.
people that went to the race, and it was
Wow.
really cold. It literally rained all the time. I mean, Prost came in the pits 7 times in the race. Senna came in 4 times. So you imagine.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
it was. It did come dry a little bit, then it went wet, and it was just obviously all over the place.
Yeah.
And I think quite an iconic picture of Senna is with the Sonic the Hedgehog
Oh,
Sega
that's right.
trophy. Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Sega
absolutely.
sponsored the race. It was obviously all over
Mm.
the circuit.
Mm.
Obviously
That's
massive
right.
at the time, video games. But yeah, the
Mm.
Sonic the Hedgehog trophy was hilarious on the
Mm.
podium.
I used to
So
love that game, by the way.
that was one of fantastic game. Yeah, I'll go and get it out of the loft.
I
Got to
was going to
play
say, yeah, let's just plug it in. Sega.
it.
That's it. I want to hear. Oh, Tails, wasn't it? That was the guy. Tails and Sonic and Tails.
Yeah,
That was it. Yeah.
good times of video games then, definitely. So yeah, that was one of the finest drives ever in the wet, and there is at the actual Donington Park there is a big Senna
There is
um,
like a memorial thing there.
memorial part with
Yeah.
Fangio,
Yes.
which is great to see. It's just a shame they don't have the Grand Prix Museum there anymore. Sort of
Right.
sidetracking a little bit here,
Mm.
but I don't know if you ever went to it, Toby. But the Grand Prix Museum there was the
No.
biggest collection of Formula One cars in the world. But it was
Right. Wow.
I went quite a few times. It got taken away for whatever reason.
Mm.
But yeah, a great track there.
Yeah.
So moving on to our number one race that our followers, members would like to attend. This got 24% of the votes,
Hmm.
and definitely I felt it was going to be on there at some point. It's the Japanese Grand Prix in 2000, in which saw
Right.
Michael Schumacher win his first title for Ferrari,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Amazing. Amazing.
it was
Yeah.
a great race as well. And
Hmm.
starting with qualifying, both Hakkinen and Schumacher were so close
Hmm.
in terms of time. Schumacher would go out, put a lap, and go fastest, and Hakkinen would do the same and go fastest, and then and again and again and again.
Yeah.
Luckily, Schumacher put in a great time, and Hakkinen just couldn't quite get that time. So Schumacher started on pole.
Hmm.
Um, the race started, and I always think it's quite hilarious that when Schumacher started the race, he needed to sort of block off Hakkinen as he did Schumacher. You know, he's like, and literally he was sort of like turning right. He wasn't
Yes,
going
I remember
straight.
that.
He was like just going right, and Hakkinen got past him
Yeah.
at the particular time, and Schumacher stayed behind him. And luckily for Schumacher, De La Rosa sort of got a little bit in the way of Hakkinen before he got in the pit, so he lost a bit of time.
Hmm.
And the pit crew of Ferrari were just incredible to give him that extra few seconds here and there
Yeah,
per stop. He was lucky actually also Schumacher because Alex Wurz in the Benetton spun just before the pit, so he had to sort of divert around him. But that wasn't a problem. But the pits were absolutely
it's
amazing, and
incredible.
a little bit of light rain here and there that just
Mm.
scared things a little bit. But Michael brought it home,
Mm.
and he was just in the car, just let everything go. All the
Yeah, yeah.
the tension, just
I think
yeah,
we all did, to be fair. I
yeah,
think at that point, I mean, it, I mean, I think it's on the documentary as well that the soundtrack really adds to the
yeah,
elation as well. But the voice of Ross Brawn on the radio. I think you and I have talked about this
yeah,
before,
yeah,
and he's in the last stop there, and he's putting those killer laps just to
yeah,
sort of stay. Can he stay ahead? Can he stay ahead? And as he's exiting the pits, Ross is on the radio. It's looking good. It's looking good. It's looking very good. It's looking great. It's looking great, Mike. And it just, and it's just
yeah,
unbelievable. It was so fantastic. Just keep it on the road. Keep it on the road. Keep it on the road. And when he crossed the line, I
yeah,
mean, unbelievable, unbelievable. After all that effort, after all those years, and bringing it back, and that was it. Dominance started.
that's
But
it,
it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. There was no other words to describe it. It was, the car was great. The team was great.
yeah,
His driving was great. And Michael was the perfect champion for
yeah.
Ferrari. It was just, yeah, it's emotional. But sorry, I sort of digressed a little
No,
bit there.
no,
So,
no.
oh well,
It's
I'm
nice to
pulling my
listen
headphones
to.
out at the same time there. What's going on with that? Yeah,
Well, it's nice
getting
to
a little
listen to
excited.
these
So
Ferrari celebrations, and because it's obviously been a bit of a tricky spell for us over the last few
tricky.
years or so.
Yeah, it's a nice way of putting it.
So it's just nice to sort of think back to those successes at the time. So
Yeah,
yes, to just say thanks to everyone getting involved with the poll. It was interesting just to keep a tabs on the races that got added and how many people were voting for each. So we'll do
yeah.
some more polls in the near future as well. So keep a lookout for the Facebook page.
Thank you all so much for watching and participating. Paul's got some very cool ideas coming up, and there's lots of exciting things coming on, which we will announce shortly. So thank you so much, and it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye for me.